Hello, you're watching Ellie from Ellymentry Papercrafting. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in the UK. The project I'm going to show you today is this delightful little swing card. Now, I've made this in several different designs and it's always a winner. Originally, I made it in a very large size and I'm going to show you the template for that. So this is the original size that I've made, and I just keep this one in my drawer so that if I want to make it again I can just quickly remind myself of the score lines, etc. Now this card can be displayed either way, so you can have it this way if you want, with the this bit going to the back, or if you turn it over you have it come into the front, so you can display it whichever way it pleases you. But it's exactly the same mechanism in the large and the small. When this one's folded, it will fit into a 6-inch square envelope. So as you can see, you can just slide that in like so, and that will go as an ordinary letter in the UK post. Okay, so let's get started. I'm starting with a piece of very vanilla cardstock which measures 8 1/4 by 5 3/4. So this is half a sheet of standard cardstock that we get from Stampin' Up. So I'm using one of the masks that's available in the current mini catalogue. Now if you want these masks you need to get them now, because this catalogue is going to be out of date at the end of June and you won't be allowed to order from it. So if you want some of these you need to order now. So I'm using this one because I think it blends in rather well with my design today. So I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper just to hold on the side that I'm not actually working on at the moment. So I'm going to use So Saffron and a blending brush, and I'm going to load up my brush just as you see me do on all my other videos. Just do a light, very light touch with this, you know, as always. I don't want this to be the thing that first catches your eye. This is just something to take the plainness off the cardstock. So I'm going all over. I'm lifting the stencil just to see how much colour is going on here, and that's enough for my liking. Yes, and I know it's heavier in some places than the others, but that's absolutely fine. That's the nature of this kind of inking, really. It's not supposed to be evenly distributed. It's just something in the background that you can see better in some places than other. And you can, it's quite easy to just pop this stencil or mask back on and just go over bits that you might want to make slightly heavier. So that's all I'm doing as regards the So Saffron. I'm just going to go in with the gorgeous grape. And for this, I'm going to use one of my sponge daubers, which I keep in here, and find the one I use for purples. And I'm just inking it up, and I want to get sort of quite a sharp dark colour on the edge here. So I'm using the sponge dauber rather than the blending brush, because if I use the blending brush I'd get a sort of pale shadowy effect coming all over, well not all over the card, but further into the cardstock, and that's not the look I want at the moment. Then when I get to this bit where I've already inked, I'm going to grab another piece of paper to hold it with, because I don't want to get that ink on my hands and transfer it to my cardstock, which could happen if I'm not careful. So that's it. That's my prepared card base. So the next thing I'm going to do is bring in my trimmer to do some scoring and cutting. So we take the card we've prepared and we put it into the trimmer in the landscape orientation. So that means the widest piece is going across, the shortest piece is top to bottom. This is landscape. And we want to place the left-hand edge at the 3.5 inch mark and score. So that's the light green, light grey there, not the dark grey cotton blade. Then we're going to turn the card 180 degrees and put it back to 3.5 again and repeat. So that gives us 2 score lines either side of the centre of the card. Now you need to turn this to the portrait position, and at this point I find it easier to turn my trim around this way, because then I can read off these measurements here much clearer. Now you'll see, I've mentioned this before, you'll see that I've got a paper ruler that I've added here. This has just come off the bottom of my grid paper here. And I've done that because the ruler on here is quite faint and I can't always see it. So this helps me tremendously to get my measurements. Now, if you prefer to use centimetres, you can use the other side, because I've turned this over like so and taken the centimetre ruler and put it on that side. So you're going to start by placing this in to your trimmer, and it needs to be as far over here as it'll go, because that is 1.5 inches from the end. Now if you can't sort out getting it here, go to the other side and make sure it's on 4.25. Either way, it doesn't matter which one you line it up with, either 4.25 or right to the end here, it'll be the same thing. Now before you push this down, move the cutting blade down to the 1.5 inch mark on this ruler, and from there you're going to cut down to 4.5, and as you're doing this you'll see that that's where this score line is. So you're cutting down to that score line. Then lift this up and make sure you keep this in the same position, the paper, and move this down to the 4 3/4 mark, and you will see that that is level with the other line you've scored. And you're going to score now down to 6 3/4. Sorry, cut. Okay, now being careful to leave the cutting blade where it is, lift it up, turn, and do the same thing again, bringing it back to as far as it'll come this side, or lining it up with 4 1/4. Now you're going to leave it where it is and bring it back to the 4 3/4 inch mark, which is again that score line, and cut up to that line. Gently bring it up, push this back up to 3.5, which is level with your score line, and bring it back up to 1.5. So what you've done is made 2 cut lines parallel to each other. Okay, so if I bring the card back to this orientation, you can see you've got 2 cuts here and here. What we're going to do next is on the outsides only, we're going to bring those join up those cut lines with another cut mark. So we're going to do exactly the same. We always place it 1.5 inches from this side. And there's a little kind of like ledge here to butt this up against. So again, we've still got that in the 1.5 inch mark where we left it. So we're going to leave it there. And we're coming up to join this cut line we've already made, which is 4.25. So we're cutting from 1.5 down to 4.25, and you can see your line here is level with that one. Bring it up, turn it 180 degrees, bring it back in so that it's up to this butt line again. Drop this down. You'll cut, like you'll see the cutter, moved it very slightly. The cut line there is right on your score, the cut line you've already made. You're going to bring it up to meet the other one at 1.5. Okay, like so. And you very neatly cut these two pieces out. So we're almost there now. So we're going to now fold and burnish our score lines. And it's really simple. So you bend this one back this way and this one the opposite way. So now you have this, and that is the basis of the card. And if I stand it up like that, you can see the profile of the finished standing card. Now, you can obviously, from these sides, you can see the back side of this. So for me, I would like to go in and just dust that over again using my stencil. So I'm just very quickly going to do that, which would just, as you know, won't take very long. You can, of course, do this, you know, do the front and the back at the same time. It's a shame I got a smudge there, but you can make sure you don't. But thinking about it, you don't need to worry about that smudge, because on the back of this is where you're going to write your message. So I would always stick something on the back here to write a message across. Okay, so it's decorated both sides, and if you want to go around the edge with this darker colour on the other side, of course you can. From the stamp set, I have used a couple of the stamps for the leaves, and these are two-step stamping. So you've got the solid leaf and the one that tops it. And I'm going to use this just on the middle. And I've also cut out the same leaves using the thinlets that you can buy to go with this stamp set. So also using the thinlets, I've cut out some of the pansies and coloured them up using crushed curry and just a little bit of the gorgeous grape, the same as I used to go around with there. And that's why I wanted to put that on that card, so that it set them off. So I'm going to arrange these sort of somehow kind of like this on the middle panel. And so I want some leaves to go round them. I thought I'd use a couple of the die cut leaves, but I didn't want too many of these because I didn't want it overdone. But I did think it would be fun to stamp a couple of leaves directly onto the card base, so that it looks as if they're growing underneath the flowers. So I'm going to take the pear pizzazz and the first leaf, and I think we'll probably have one sort of looking as if it's coming from here. So if I pop that down like so, that'll pop out from the bottom there, and maybe stamp it here so it's coming out from the top that way. And then I'm using the coordinating stamp with a dark colour, Old Olive, to stamp on top. And the good thing about these photopolymer stamps is that you can see straight through the acrylic block and get it stamped in exactly the right place. Like so. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the smaller leaf stamp. So I'm just popping my pansies back in to see again where I might want that. So I'm going to pop this one here, and let's pop it just there. So I've got one coming a little bit out of the top, and again here. So let's just move those away. And then, did I use the Old Olive for that? I use the Old Olive on there and there to get the contrast. So that's the foliage. So I'm going to use one of these, sorry, I can't remember what it's called, dimensional. I'm going to use a dimensional to place the centre pansy. And I'm going to be careful not to stick down the edges, because this, when it bends in half like so, I want this to sit like that, okay, on the card. So, oh, actually, it doesn't matter, does it? I'm thinking of something else. So I'm placing the dimensionals just like so. I probably could have got away with just 3 there. And pop that so that the leaves are coming out from either side. Now I'm just going to use a little bit of Tombow multi-purpose adhesive on the back of these leaves, and I'll do my little trick of popping some glue on the back of my hand and using it like that so I don't get too much glue in places I don't want it. So just line that up so that you get the more of a 3D effect with this one, and the same with the larger leaf. Onto the back of my hand, it grabs enough glue in the places that it needs it, and then I don't get anywhere else that I don't want it. So let's just place my pansies in again, and I'm going to pop that one there, and let's face that one out like so, this one down like so. Now because I've popped that up onto the dimensionals, I can slide these underneath, and I want to make sure I don't stick this so that it overlaps that way. And I'm going to use the Tombow for this. and underneath like so, and making sure I stay within the square that I've cut out. So now I've got that in where I want it, I can now secure this one. I wanted to make sure the pansy was in the right place before I definitely stuck the leaf down. And so again here. So we're almost there. That's how the card's going to stand. On a steady surface like that, it does stand up beautifully. So I'm going to pop on a few little gems. I think we'll just add a something to this. And I'm taking a tip from a lady who left me a message to say that the snips are great for picking up these embellishments. And she was right, thank you. Pop that like so, and then I'm going to do the same in the opposite corner. These little rhinestones are very, very pretty, I think. There are lots of embellishments in the Stampin' Up catalogue, so if you do need anything like this, just have a look. You can ask me for a catalogue, or you can view a digital copy. So all that's left for me to do now is to stamp a greeting. And this did come from the stamp set. It's this one here, this happy birthday. So I'm going to take a piece of very vanilla cardstock. I've got a little scrap here. And I think I'm going to use the Gorgeous Grape because we've used that in a couple of places before. Ooh. That will complement the card. And oops, sorry about the noise. So ink up my stamp. It usually helps if you place your card on a straight line and then look over it as you're stamping. I'm not pressing hard, I'm just keeping it in contact with the cardstock long enough for the ink to transfer. From the Tasteful Label dies, which I can't remember if they're current at the moment, but use obviously a die that fits your greeting, your sentiment, and then cut that out using your die cut machine. So that's cut out, and I'm just going to pick out the edge of that again with the Gorgeous Grape and the sponge dauber just to make it pop from the card. Same way I did before. This is optional, of course, but I think you'll agree that it really helps that to pop, doesn't it? And I think this needs a couple of dimensionals as well. We'll whip the backs off those. And we'll pop that up there. So that's our finished card using Pansy Patch stamp set and the dies and a couple of embellishments there. So that's our little card. Hope you've enjoyed that today. If you have, please give me a thumbs up, like my Facebook page, whichever you're watching on. If you're watching on Facebook, you just click like the page. Thumbs up on YouTube. If you are watching on YouTube, you'll see below in the description box, I've added a link to the current catalogues. And if you click there, you can get a digital download. And if you would like to order anything, there's also a link to my online store. So again, thank you very much for watching. I'd really appreciate it if you were subscribing to my channel and if you would share this with your friends. Thanks again, and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.